Lamar Odom admitted he has such a strong habit of watching pull-ins that it's become essential to his daily routine. His struggle with pull-ins led to Zion Williamson being involved in a hidden affair with an adult film actress, negatively impacting his professional life. Additionally, Lana Rhoades shared insights into her liaisons with NBA athletes, even disclosing that she has a child with one of them. NBA players' reliance on pull-ins goes beyond just indulgence. It's evident that their lives intertwine with the adult entertainment industry more than the average person thinks. What compels them to enter this field? Is it merely a lure, or is there a deeper layer? Let's analyze it. The interplay of addiction and availability. NBA players have a strong inclination for drawings. These aren't my words, but rather the sentiments expressed by ex-adult film actress Mia Khalifa, who couldn't mask her opinion. If that's accurate, then perhaps the genuine rivalry lies not within the arenas, but across these platforms. Once adult content lingered as a societal taboo, available only at the edges of culture, consumers experienced embarrassment, and explicit content came in unmarked packaging to ensure privacy in purchasing. Nowadays, adult material is ubiquitous. It's widely available. All you need is a smartphone and internet access. For NBA athletes who frequently travel, shifting from one city to another, staying in hotels, and experiencing prolonged periods of inactivity, this convenience is crucial. Imagine it. You're in a hotel room at 2 in the morning. Post-game, you're buzzing with excitement, with hours ahead until practice or travel calls you. How do you spend the time? For many, the temptation to indulge in adult entertainment becomes a simple way to relax or fill the void. Before they realize it, they find themselves hooked on the display. Yet, it isn't solely the web that's the concern. NBA athletes lead a life that many can only fantasize about. They are affluent, well-known, and perpetually in the company of those eager to be near them. Occasionally, this encompasses individuals from the adult film world. Consider Lana Rhoades, for instance. She's a prominent figure in adult entertainment who has candidly discussed her connections with NBA athletes. She's admitted to having dated several players from the league and disclosed that she has a child with one of them. Therefore, for an NBA player, it's more than merely viewing adult films. Occasionally, you find yourself engaging with the very creators behind the works. This close contact can quickly blend the boundaries between dream and actuality. Truthfully, the lifestyle often promotes such behavior. These individuals are youthful, affluent, and frequently unattached, with admirers eagerly reaching out to them from all sides. In a realm where allure surrounds us, resisting becomes a challenge. Combine that with porn's addictive design, and it's clear why some athletes struggle. However, I'm not suggesting that every NBA player faces this battle. Many men possess the self-control necessary to maintain their focus and steer clear of distractions. However, for some, the constant availability, prominent allure, and an already hectic lifestyle can pose significant challenges. Once you embark on that journey, reversing course can be difficult. Furthermore, this compilation will illustrate how athletes can occasionally become dependent on this habit. The pleasurable sensations associated with gaming, particularly at top-tier levels, drive a pursuit of that dopamine high. Buzz a header, tricolor bursts of action. You know that thrill when you sink a perfect shot or pull off an unbelievable dunk. That surge of exhilaration, that thrill. That's dopamine, the brain's pleasure chemical. This tiny neurotransmitter fuels ambition, enthusiasm, and that euphoric feeling we chase. For top-tier athletes, their systems are releasing dopamine in extraordinary amounts due to rigorous training, nutrition, and the excitement of competition. NBA players, like every elite competitor, are essentially addicted to this chemical high. They revel in the surge during practices and matches. But once the final whistle blows, when the fast breaks end, the game-winning shots are taken, and the jeering crowd fades, their dopamine levels plummet. Much like an addict in search of their next hit, they begin pursuing that thrill beyond the game. Some gravitate towards gambling, others indulge in wild nightlife, while some dive into their devices, wandering into the internet's murkiest depths. Enter pornography. Engaging with it provokes a comparable rush of dopamine. Let's face it, it's a convenient escape. No workout, no training, no exertion, just a fast track to feeling great. But here's the catch. As time passes, the brain acclimates to this fresh source of dopamine, requiring increasingly more to achieve the same sense of fulfillment. What begins as a rare indulgence can easily evolve into a routine. Before long, it becomes an obsession. Consider the case of ex-NBA star Shawn Kent. Though he hasn't openly acknowledged any addiction to pornography, his battles with personal challenges off the court are widely known. One can easily understand how an individual accustomed to the rush of basketball might seek other activities fueled by dopamine to bridge that gap. The issue goes beyond merely deriving dopamine from porn consumption. Masturbation triggers a surge of pleasure-inducing hormones, intensifying that euphoric rush. It's akin to a powerful duo striking the brain. For individuals already inclined to seek such sensations, it's understandable how this can lead to an overload. It's important to note that this isn't entirely their blame. Research indicates that athletes frequently find it challenging to cope with the aftermath of strenuous exercise. Their minds are designed to seek that rush of dopamine. When it isn't supplied by basketball, they search for it in other places. Unfortunately, the greater the dependency on porn for that dopamine surge, the tougher it becomes to break free. The brain begins to yearn for it, and soon enough, it transforms into a way to manage stress. What begins as an innocent pursuit of that pleasurable chemical can swiftly evolve into a serious addiction. Addressing the topic of addiction, let's talk about sexual addiction. This is the reason many individuals get ensnared in this cycle. Initially, it's a burst of dopamine, but it soon transforms into an unending desire for ongoing excitement. As the cycle kicks off, the descent becomes more profound than you might imagine. A significant yet often overlooked facet of the NBA existence is the struggle with sexual addiction. When you shine as an NBA star, everything you desire is within reach. The allure of fame, wealth, and prestige brings about an overwhelming attention that can be addictive. For certain athletes, this can spiral into a pattern of sexual compulsivity. This goes beyond mere flings or brief encounters. It highlights a recurring trend that can escalate significantly. Consider Lamar Odom. The ex-NBA star is among the few high-profile athletes who candidly acknowledged his fight against sexual addiction, which eventually brought about his challenges with pornography. In his memoir, Darkness to Light, released in 2019, Odom shared that he had been intimate with more than 2,000 women, confessing to his obsession with sexual experiences. He characterized his dependency as an all-consuming force that dictated his behaviors and decisions, resulting in infidelity with partners, damaging his connections, and even disrupting his basketball journey. Initially, Odom viewed frequent sexual encounters as an inherent aspect of his life as an NBA player. Yet, he eventually recognized this was a detrimental obsession. His celebrity status, riches, and the availability of numerous women fostered a setting where his addiction could flourish without restraint. Nevertheless, after enduring years of turmoil, Odom eventually confessed that his challenges extended beyond just his sexual urges. Pornography evolved into a significant addiction for him as well. Odom revealed in interviews that his reliance on porn intensified following the conclusion of his basketball career. Lacking the discipline provided by the NBA's routine and the diversions of team obligations, he discovered himself consuming porn voraciously, occasionally for several hours daily. He admitted it took a toll on his personal relationships, complicating his ability to bond with actual partners. Another factor contributing to NBA players' attraction to porn stemmed from the strenuous demands and constant pressures of the sport we cherish, along with the solitude experienced while traveling. A clear, often disregarded factor in NBA players' battles with porn addiction is their hectic routines and the inherent isolation that accompanies life on the road. These athletes aren't merely on the court. They're immersed in a whirlwind lifestyle. Their schedules brim with games, training sessions, media engagements, and travel, leaving little room from dawn until well after dusk. Although the notion of flying across the nation may seem appealing, the truth is quite different. Consider this. An NBA season resembles a lengthy endurance race rather than a quick dash. Comprising 82 regular games, along with playoffs for the elite teams, these athletes often find themselves residing out of suitcases for the majority of the year. They travel from one city to another, rest in hotel rooms, and clock more hours in airports than at their own residences. Although they are surrounded by teammates and support staff, it doesn't quite replicate the comfort of a stable, settled life. For those players without spouses or deep relationships, the travel can feel profoundly lonely. Picture this scene. It's 2 a.m. following a grueling match. You're in your hotel room, still buzzing from the game's intensity, yet too drained to engage in anything productive. You're miles away from home, possibly in an unfamiliar city where you have no acquaintances. Your only companions are room service and the channels of cable TV. In times like this, adult films can serve as a tempting distraction. It goes beyond mere physical pleasure. It's about addressing an emptiness, seeking relaxation, and managing the isolation tied to their way of life. We must remember, these athletes are people too. They aren't merely basketball automatons. They experience feelings, have desires, and, of course, hormones. The relentless demands of the season create immense pressure to succeed. The ups and downs of competing can leave athletes feeling emotionally exhausted. For some individuals, adult films serve as an escape from these emotions, offering a brief relief from the pressures of their professions. Unfortunately, the downside is that what begins as a harmless distraction can swiftly evolve into a routine. In the whirlwind life of an NBA player, such patterns can escalate unchecked. Ultimately, that infrequent reprieve can transform into a reliance. That's when matters start to get tricky. Although the NBA life may appear glamorous from a distance, it certainly has its hurdles. The relentless travel, solitude, and need for release set the stage for issues such as porn addiction to develop. Mentioning those conducive conditions for such addiction, another factor contributing to NBA players' reliance on porn is the surplus of energy. In a lifestyle that's always busy, discovering outlets for that excessive energy can prove difficult on its own. NBA athletes possess extraordinary energy levels that set them apart from the average person. They're like finely tuned machines, engineered for running, jumping, and relentless competition for extended periods. Yet, there's a caveat. That vibrant energy doesn't simply vanish when the final whistle blows. Rather, it often persists long after. The thrill lingers, the pulse continues to surge, and the body remains in overdrive long after the game concludes. While most unwind by flipping through channels, diving into novels, or browsing social media, NBA athletes need a different form of cooldown. It's akin to advising a sports car to chill in a rest stop. Some head out to nightlife, others enjoy a drink, and some seek out adult content. It's not solely about the physical aspect, but rather a way to unwind from the high stakes of the game. Here's a surprising twist. Certain coaches advise athletes to steer clear of intimacy before competitions, claiming it saps their vigor. However, post-game is where the fun begins. Just consider it. These individuals have just unleashed their full power for 2 hours, and now they need to figure out how to expend all that leftover energy. While some seek out a real-life escort, many others find themselves without accessible choices, opting instead for a quick and convenient alternative: pornography. Research indicates that dopamine, serotonin, and adrenaline, chemicals that ignite a player's passion on the court, also play a significant role in libido. After a thrilling victory or a disheartening defeat, it's understandable that players might turn to porn as a method to navigate those intense emotional highs and lows. The lifestyle associated with the NBA amplifies this tendency. These individuals are always traveling, staying in hotels, and hopping from one city to another. The concept of a lasting relationship is nearly unattainable for many athletes. Thus, when they seek an outlet for all that pent-up energy without the entanglements of genuine relationships, adult films are conveniently available. However, therein lies the issue. What begins as a means to relax can swiftly evolve into an addiction. The deeper the dependence grows, the tougher it is to break free, as it turns into a regular escape for handling stress, monotony, or even moments of joy. It evolves beyond mere enjoyment. It transforms into a genuine addiction. Some gamers may even rationalize their consumption with the belief that viewing adult content enhances their game on the field. Although this may seem absurd, research does exist indicating a link between adult material and improved sport performance. Next up, we're exploring a fascinating topic: the existence of studies that connect pornography to enhanced athletic performance. It may come as a surprise, but stick with me. Some research indicates that viewing adult content could potentially boost athletes' performance. I know, it's quite the revelation. It may seem like an odd rationale conceived to defend personal habits, yet genuine research supports it. Here's the breakdown. Researchers conducted a study in which athletes viewed various video segments. These included emotional, confrontational, inspirational training clips, and naturally, a more provocative selection. Following the screenings, the scientists assessed the testosterone levels of the athletes. Surprisingly, viewers of erotic or aggressive videos experienced a temporary spike in testosterone levels. Given that testosterone is crucial for strength, muscle development, and overall energy, some suggest this surge might provide athletes with an advantage during games. However, does this imply that NBA players are gathered around their devices, indulging in provocative clips before the game starts? Unlikely. Let's face it, athletes in search of any edge will investigate all avenues available to them. If a research paper suggests that viewing adult content might enhance stamina, power, or self-assurance, it's understandable that some competitors might be tempted to give it a shot. However, this is where things complicate. What initially appears to be a performance booster can swiftly evolve into a routine. At the beginning, an athlete might just catch a brief clip ahead of a crucial match to pump themselves up. Next, it becomes a habit. It evolves beyond just pre-game rituals. It seeps into practice sessions, workouts, and even nighttime routines. Before they realize it, they're dependent, but not for the edge in performance anymore, rather because their mind has conditioned itself to long for it. The most concerning part is that this so-called enhancement is fleeting. Much like a burst of energy from caffeine, the effect dissipates. When it fades, individuals find themselves craving additional doses for a similar high. Furthermore, while research may suggest that pornography can elevate testosterone levels, it also indicates that overindulgence can impair concentration, self-discipline, and motivation. Therefore, what initially appears as an advantage may ultimately turn into a significant diversion. In the grand scheme of things, the notion that porn enhances athletic performance is questionable. It's an intriguing concept that appears promising in theory, yet crumbles when applied. For certain NBA athletes, what may have begun as casual exploration or a brief pre-game curiosity could have spiraled into an overwhelming dependency. The risk of developing a pornography addiction often hinges on initial experiences with it and the handling of those experiences, NBA players included. They too were once teenagers and adolescents before stepping onto the court. Initial encounter gradient. Let's face it, The majority of boys encounter pornography long before they understand how to handle it. Research indicates that the typical male first comes across it at about 13 years old. That's during their middle school years. That's just scratching the surface when it comes to conversing with girls. As for NBA athletes, they're quite similar. Many of them are raised in intense, male-centered settings, which might give them an even earlier start. While it's natural to be curious, the spark of what begins as innocent fascination could potentially evolve into a pattern. Once a habit is established, it doesn't simply vanish with age or increased wealth. In fact, success often magnifies it. Consider this. These individuals transform from typical high school students to national icons almost instantaneously. By the time they reach college, they're already attracting attention from scouts. Once they reach the NBA, they gain wealth, recognition, and the liberty to pursue their desires. However, it's essential to understand that despite their transformed lifestyles, their past routines are hard to shake off. If they began consuming adult content in their youth, it likely remains ingrained in their lives as they mature. Plus, it's worth noting how straightforward it is nowadays. The internet has rendered adult material exceptionally easy to access. Once upon a time, accessing adult material meant slyly snagging a magazine or tuning into a late-night cable channel. Nowadays, just 2 taps on your smartphone, and everything is at your fingertips. An endless stream of content is available with minimal effort. For an NBA player, often on the road, spending solitary nights in hotel rooms, or seeking refuge from the pressures of the game, it becomes alarmingly easy to revert to old habits. While early exposure might initially seem trivial, when coupled with the NBA lifestyle, complete with wealth, privacy, leisure time, and ongoing stress, it creates an ideal environment for addiction to flourish. Once the mind becomes accustomed to pursuing instant rewards, liberating oneself isn't merely a matter of making a choice to quit. This leads us to another factor behind these conflicts: coping strategy. For certain individuals, pornography transcends mere habit and turns into a form of escape, a method to cope with stress, anxiety, solitude, and the myriad challenges that accompany fame. At a glance, one might believe that an NBA career revolves solely around celebrity and wealth. Yet, the truth behind the curtain reveals that athletes endure significant pressure, manifested in incessant media attention. The need to perform at a top-tier standard, coupled with the obligations tied to substantial contracts, can create an immense burden. For many, pornography serves as a form of escape. A study from 2020 published in the Psychology of Addictive Behaviors revealed that individuals frequently seek out porn to cope with adverse emotions such as stress, anxiety, and depression. NBA athletes, constantly in the spotlight, can be particularly susceptible to this tendency. Whether they're facing a losing streak, coping with injuries, or managing the tumult of stardom, pornography can provide a fleeting distraction from their circumstances. However, the downside is that it fails to address any underlying issues. A research study from 2018 on sexual addiction and compulsivity revealed that heavy consumption of pornography may amplify feelings of guilt, shame, and loneliness, ultimately exacerbating the initial stress. What begins as a method of coping can swiftly evolve into a pattern of reliance. Imagine an athlete striving to meet the demands of a substantial contract. Each match feels crucial, tipping into a life-or-death scenario, and the tension is overwhelming. In such cases, pornography may appear to be a benign way to relax. As time goes by, the focus shifts from pure pleasure to seeking refuge from stress, creating a pattern that's difficult to shake off. This pattern of evasion isn't limited to just the pressures of competition. Numerous NBA athletes face personal struggles, such as troubled relationships, isolation from frequent travel, or the psychological effects of injuries. Rather than addressing these challenges head-on, they may opt for pornography as a quick and convenient distraction. However, just like any other form of escape, porn does not eliminate the underlying pressure. It merely postpones the necessary confrontation. When athletes rely on it to cope with stress, it can create larger problems later on. This leads to another reason why certain NBA players find themselves entangled in porn addictions. For these individuals, porn transcends mere escapism. It serves as a replacement for genuine relationships. It reflects deeper intimacy struggles. Let's be real, building and sustaining deep connections is a challenge when you're engaged in the NBA lifestyle. With non-stop travel, rigorous demands, and the weight of celebrity, it's not surprising that some athletes find intimacy elusive. For these players, pornography can act as a stand-in for genuine interaction. Research indicates that frequent porn consumption can hinder the formation of healthy relationships. This is particularly relevant for those who have difficulty with intimacy, as porn often sets unrealistic standards and complicates interactions with actual partners. For NBA athletes, this presents a complex dilemma. On one side, their demanding lifestyle complicates the formation and maintenance of meaningful relationships. Conversely, the incessant availability of adult content can serve as a diversion from the hurdles of deep emotional connections. Consider a player who travels frequently, he may encounter someone he feels a significant connection with. However, as he quickly departs for the next game in a different city, that bond may inevitably fade away. As time passes, the cycle may become tiresome, leading some to seek solace in porn. However, while it may offer a fleeting sense of connection, it fails to replace genuine intimacy, which brings us to another critical issue: ignorance. For certain individuals, the concern extends beyond mere intimacy or coping mechanisms. It stems from a lack of awareness regarding the harm that porn can inflict. Here's the reality of pornography. It's ubiquitous. With the internet's expansion, accessing adult material has become simpler than ever. For many individuals, this means encountering pornographic content in their formative years. However, mere accessibility does not imply that it is benign. For some NBA players, ignorance regarding the adverse effects of pornography can result in addiction. Research indicates that many individuals facing pornography addiction often fail to recognize how it can adversely affect their mental health, interpersonal relationships, and general well-being. This issue is particularly relevant for athletes who might lack the necessary resources or education about the dangers associated with porn. Within the NBA, this deficiency in awareness can significantly contribute to the emergence of addiction. Without grasping the possible ramifications, such as reduced motivation, issues in relationships, and even detrimental effects on performance, the temptation to engage in excessive use becomes easier to succumb to. However, the reality is that lack of awareness cannot be a justification. Although many may not be aware of the harmful impacts of pornography, it's vital to seek knowledge and grasp the dangers involved. When facing something as impactful as this issue, understanding is the crucial initial step to breaking free from the pattern. Additionally, another factor contributing to NBA players' potential reliance on this habit is the risk of mistakes influenced by their substantial earnings and extravagant lifestyles. Let's acknowledge that being an NBA player involves more than just the game of basketball. It's about experiencing a lifestyle that many can only fantasize about. Think lavish contracts worth millions, luxurious getaways, high-end fashion, and unlimited access to opulence. Yet this level of affluence and privilege brings its own challenges. For certain athletes, it can lead to struggles with addictions, including issues like porn addiction. With boundless wealth and celebrity status, free from constraints, it's simple to spiral into chaos. Certain athletes relentlessly pursue thrills, approval, and indulgence, causing self-control to fall by the wayside. Take Zion Williamson, for instance. His private life turned into a spectacle when adult film actress Mariah Mills revealed their supposed romance and claimed he deceived her. Similarly, Magic Johnson confessed to engaging with 2 or 3 women each day during his career, occasionally right after games, before attending post-game press conferences. In this realm of availability, gamers find themselves enveloped in desires. They are nearly submerged in a sea of temptation. Here, excess is not merely tolerated, it is anticipated. Therefore, it's no wonder that some individuals develop habits that become hard to break. Pornography addiction is an example of such a quiet battle that often goes unaddressed, yet it is undeniably present. When shelling out thousands for top-tier adult entertainment feels effortless, it's simple to become ensnared. The issue is addiction disregards your financial status. Being able to pay for something doesn't guarantee it won't dominate your existence. For those entangled in this, escaping can be even more challenging. They possess unfettered access to their obsession. NBA athletes are famous for their love of the extravagant. Luxury cars, stunning jewelry, high-end fashion. Yet their preferences in women are equally diverse. They're drawn to a wide range, from glamorous Instagram influencers to the charming girl next door and all options that lie between. That's where adult entertainment enters the picture. It's the drink that satisfies that longing, presenting limitless choices to satisfy their desires. However, when imagination overshadows the real world, it becomes an issue. Thus, although the NBA lifestyle appears to be the pinnacle of aspiration, it harbors its own shadows. Wealth, celebrity, and influence allow athletes to partake in all pleasures. Yet, paradoxically, that's often what ensnares them. If you enjoyed this video, tap on any card displayed on your screen to explore more incredible stories.